Well, welcome. It's the Next Homie Focus Group. We meet here every other Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And today we've got an awesome guest. This is a real powerhouse that we really admire. Pat, you want to tell us about our guest today?
Yes, I actually wrote something, so I'm actually going to read it. Erica Stietenroth is the kind of woman who shows up with her whole heart. She is creative, honest, loyal, and fiercely determined. She brings a level of commitment to everything she does that's truly inspiring. She has inspired me so many times. Whether she's negotiating a deal, supporting her clients, or caring for her family, Erica leads with integrity and grit. She's a devoted wife and mom and a hardworking real estate agent who understands the deep emotional layers behind buying or selling a home. Her approach is grounded, thoughtful, and always people first. Erica just doesn't do the job. She builds lasting relationships, empowers others, and makes a meaningful impact in her community.
Well,
Well,
welcome, Erica.
We
thank
love you.
you. Aw. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on, and hopefully I can share some helpful information and some little nuggets that you guys can utilize. I know this market's been challenging. Do you have anything that you want? Do you just want me to kind of jump into things, or do you have any questions you want to lead off with, or anything like that at all, or?
Oh, just jump right in. You don't need any prompting.
Okay. Um, so when Chuck and Pat reached out to me, they, asked if I'd be willing to get on here and talk to you guys, kind of noting the success that I'm having even in a challenging market, and share what I do, right? And I'll give you a little background just to talk about just transaction wise where I am to add that layer of credibility. But um, you know, to a certain extent, I am the antithesis of what any of my real estate coaches have told me to do. Um, and oftentimes when I do coach, I will kind of claw my way into, like, I'm being dragged into doing things, but there are certain things over time where I finally listened to what people are telling me to do that have helped make me successful, and I'll share some of those things as well. But just a little bit of background. I've been in real estate for 11 years, and I almost quit after my second year of real estate. I had everything falling apart. It was the end of 2017. It was an election year. So, and we just came out of an election year, right? And I had two transactions. I think I had three transactions or either on the market or under contract. Everything fell apart. And I had no pipeline. And I was at a pivot point there where I was like, all right, well, prior to real estate, I was in sales for about 10 years. And I said, well, I don't want to go back into the audiovisual sales. And I sure as heck did not want to go back into teaching. And I did not want to go into an office job. I had been self-employed for quite a while at that point, and decided just to kind of dig in and dig into things. And I was doing multiple open houses a weekend, and just over time, and I started doing video on social media and stuff, really at a time where people were starting to do stuff, but not to the extent that we see now and that we've seen over the last couple of years. And just started being a lot more visible. And eventually that grew. And I'm glad for where I am now that I did not quit back in 2017, 2018. So last year, I did 61 transactions, about $24 million in sales. This year so far, I have closed out, as of today, 31 transactions, and I'm at $17 million in sales. And then I've got a healthy pipeline and a lot of listings and things like that right now. And so the natural question when people see the business that I'm doing is, well, what is she doing? What is she doing different? And um, I I have some systems. I think it's extremely important to make sure that you have a database that you're utilizing. I've chosen to use Follow Up Boss. So I use Follow Up Boss. I have drip campaigns. There's a recent company that I hired to go in. I need to look up the name of the company. I want to say it's like Keys Technology or something like that. That's not it, but I can look it up if anyone's interested if you're using Follow Up Boss. And I bought all of their systems and stuff. So they literally went into my entire database. They revamped it. They made sure it was properly utilized and implemented a whole lot of campaigns. And I had drip campaigns, but I didn't have any of them turned on. I do have ones in there that I've been using for a long time, but the purpose of the CRM for me is that's where me and my transaction coordinator, that is where I'm keeping myself organized, and I think it's extremely important. And I had searched and I've switched databases over the years. I've been using Follow Up Boss for a very, very long time now, and it's the one that works for me. So just having those things in place, don't not working off of spreadsheets and things like that. But that's been an important key piece, and making sure that we're utilizing what I have set up in there. Um, so now that I had this company come in and basically optimize my CRM, now when I have any random leads that come in from Zillow or from our local MLS or from my website and things like that, I now have those auto set on. Like I just like, you know what? I'm the kind of person where they've put all these campaigns in there. And so now I want to go in because of my high D and my high I on the disc profile. And I want to put my hands on all of them and redo them because no one can do it as good as I can do it, right? And then as I started having some stuff come in, I was like, you know what? I just paid this company to do this. I don't even care. Just turn it on. Just turn it on and let it go, right? And so that's what I've done. So I've noticed some of the things that I've seen coming through. There are tweaks in there that I want to get in and make, but again, that's finding the time, and I haven't had the time to go in there and kind of tweak some of that stuff. But getting your systems in place, I think, is extremely important. That's been something that has helped me. The other thing that has helped me over time has been I have had real estate coaches throughout the years, just different coaches for different seasons for what I was doing, and all of them brought unique pieces to my business. But perhaps the most important one is in order to start doing more than like 15, 20, probably it was somewhere in that bracket of transactions a year, in order to continue to grow and not just be completely bogged down with everything, you have to make that first hire. And what I see is that a lot of real estate agents will get into the business and think that their first hire needs to be a buyer agent or something like that. And you just don't have, it shouldn't be. It should be a transaction coordinator. And so hiring a transaction coordinator, just really that allowed me to just completely take off as far as that is concerned. So those are some back end pieces. Real estate coaches will tell you to time block. I suck at time blocking. I am absolutely awful. I do not time block. As a matter of fact, I have had probably two or three coaches where they've had me go through my calendar and on our Zoom calls, like put my time blocking on my calendar. And I have it on there and I don't use it. And then when I would stop coaching with those coaches, I would go into my calendar and delete them all out. That's how much I hate time blocking. Okay. So I don't do that. And you would think when I'm closing 61 transactions and I have business coming in that I would be time blocking. So I can't sit here and tell you that that's what I do and that that's something you should be doing. I'm successful at not doing that, and that's what works for me. But here's the thing. Do I know I could be more successful if I did time block? Absolutely. Because if I said I'm going to go into my database for this hour every week, just 1 hour a week, and actually call my past clients and call people in my database, I would get more business than I do now because I have not called a single one of them. I could probably get another 10 transactions a year if I time blocked and went in and started calling on my database, right? So then you're like, well, and I don't buy leads. I don't buy leads from Zillow. I don't buy leads from any of the things out there. So if I'm not buying leads and I'm not time blocking and calling my database, then where am I getting my business from? Right? What have I chosen to focus on in my career that has helped me to be able to bring in this business? And the biggest thing that has been for me is attending conferences and networking, making relationships with people like some of you on this on the call. I recognize some of you. I've met you before at past Next Home conferences and just through other things, and being active on social media. So you see these agents who will do their sessions like this where they've been successful in closing 35 deals a year on TikTok, or they get a lot of business from Instagram and things like that, right? My thing has been Facebook. That's where I have made the vast majority of my connections. I will friend everybody on social media, except for the ones that come through and look like that handsome doctor that is divorced or widowed, that, whatever, right? But I'll pretty much friend everyone, which means I friend my clients too, which that can be a double-edged sword sometimes, right? I can talk about that a little bit. But I make those connections and I friend people on social media because once you're connected in that way and people see what you're doing, that creates a relationship with people, and people feel like they know you, even though like you may have never met before, right? And you guys all know what I'm talking about. You have those connections on socials. And I'll never forget back in 2015 when I got my real estate license, and I used to teach a workshop called Strategic Facebooking. I think some of you have been on that workshop that I've done before. It's been a long time since I've done that workshop. But I literally had an agent in the office that I was at the time tell me that she was going to unfriend me on Facebook because she gets on Facebook for fun and all she sees are my real estate posts, and that she doesn't think that that's the appropriate platform for that. And I was like, okay, well, just so you know, the way that it works, you don't have to unfriend me. You can just choose to unfollow me. But if you want to unfriend me, that's okay too, right? A lot of times people will not get on these platforms because, and you've heard this a million times, you're afraid of how you look or how you sound, or, whatever excuse that you've got in your head for not getting on there and connecting with people and sharing your stories. You don't want to get on Facebook because you don't think people want to see what you have to say. They don't want to see about the closing that you had today. They don't care. Doctors don't get on and post that, oh, I had a successful surgery today. Okay. But this is how I literally have built my business, and people see your wins and then they remember it and making these connections. And so my advice is go do it. Who cares what other realtors think? Who cared what that realtor back in 2015? If I would have let her shut me down and stop doing what I was doing, I may not be where I am now with the connections that I have, right? So if social is your thing, find your platform and dig into it. I am not big on Instagram. I do a little bit on TikTok. I have not been consistent with anything lately, besides posting on Facebook. And just find your platform and do something with it and start doing something with it and start connecting with people. And if you are consistent in doing it and sharing parts of your personal life and sharing parts of your business life and sharing parts of the victories and sharing parts of the awful things that are happening in your life too. That is what connects people to you. That is what makes us feel like we have that human interaction. We've got that relationship with people. And like I said, we may never have even met in person. And that is huge. That is absolutely huge in my opinion for doing some of the things that I've been able to be successful in doing. I want to be more consistent with how I'm posting and when I'm posting. And in my head, I have plans on actually putting things on my calendar where I'm just like, I am going to, on every Tuesday, do some social media stuff for this period of time. Right now, I pay $45 or $49 a month for coffee to contracts, and they're literally giving me content. And all I have to do is go in there and pull it and post it. And I don't even do that. And I'm just wasting $49 a month. But I need to time block for that. And I am aware of where that downfall is with me and I want to do. And I'm also going to talk about some of the things that I have been working on. And it's more gearing towards AI and chat GPT and those kinds of things and what I'm trying to build as far as hyper local kind of stuff is concerned. Which that kind of takes me into the next thing is forming those connections. I friend my kids' parents, my kids' friends' parents, people from the PTO, people from my kids' sports. Um, sometimes like my older daughter, this has not worked out well for the poor boys, but she will like she has her boyfriends and then they break up and then she has other boyfriends and somehow in the meantime I end up friending their moms and then I feel awful when they've broken up, but we're still connected on Facebook and I have actually gotten referrals out of it too, so at least I'm doing something right. But I'm friending everybody on there. So the other biggest thing for me, which has worked, and you have to realize, is that 4 years ago, so I was in Katy, Texas, which is a suburb to the west side of Houston, and I had built a really good business out there, and we looked at moving just about 30 to 40 minutes north into Magnolia, Texas, which is where I am now, which is on the northwest side, close to where Jill is. And and I was worried about how, like, if I move out of my area, what is that going to do? Is it going to hurt my business and all of the things? And I almost didn't move. Well, then we ended up moving. And so I was like, what was I doing in Katy at the time? I was farming my neighborhood. I was doing postcards. When I would get a listing, I was doing the open houses. I would have my signs out. And again, I was friending the moms on the PTO. I was doing all the things on social media and stuff as well. So when I moved up here, I had almost no business. And as far as this actual area was concerned, I had never sold a house in the neighborhood that I've moved into. And so I was like, all right, well, what I was doing in Katy was working, so I'm just going to duplicate it and start doing it up here. And so I actually found my house by sending out a postcard to the neighborhood. So then once I moved into my neighborhood, I sent out another postcard, and this postcard said, "Remember me? I was the one, and now I'm your neighbor. I'm also a realtor." Right? And so I sent out that postcard. And the biggest thing is people don't have to realize that you're good. You need to tell people that you're good. You need to tell them you're the local expert. You need to tell them you're the neighborhood realtor. You need to tell them you are your neighborhood's listing specialist. Because when you tell them, then they're going to think that. And they're going to remember that. I am by no way have sold the most homes in my neighborhood, but everybody thinks I do because they see my postcards and because they see my name out there and because I'm active on our neighborhood Facebook groups and those kinds of things. So I came up here and I started doing my postcards. I post market updates in our neighborhood Facebook group. And then in Katy, I had started doing some videos called Discovering Katy, Texas. And in those videos, I was interviewing small local business owners and I was promoting them on social media, which for me was basically Facebook at no charge. I did not charge them for any of it. And so I decided when I came up to Magnolia, I kind of looked around. No one was doing anything like that. And so I decided to start Discovering Magnolia, Texas. and I started interviewing small local businesses up here. And starting that up here, not knowing anyone and not really knowing where to start, I was like, what would be one of the biggest businesses that I could find in Magnolia where if I pushed out a video with 0 followers, right? Nobody knows who I am. What would be the best company that I could interview as a first time interview to get some credibility and to get some traction and to get some eyes on me? And so we have a local brewery here called Lone Pine Brewery, and I reached out to the owners and they agreed to be interviewed, and that was my first interview up here. So then, as I started calling other local business owners to say, hey, I'm with Discovering Magnolia, Texas, and I am, I interview small local businesses, I could send them the Lone Pipe video link, and who wouldn't want to do that at that point, right? So look around your community for opportunities where you can pour into other people and you can help other people, because by doing all of those things, it has come back tenfold on me. So if I fast forward now, I've been doing my Discovering Magnolia videos for the basically 4 years that I've now lived in Magnolia. Um, I I just closed yesterday a $1.175 million house listing from one of the owners that I interviewed from Discovering Magnolia, Texas. I have their $3.2 million land listing on the market. And I have other closings that I have gotten because of that. As a matter of fact, some of that and being able to get some of those listings is now leading me into an upcoming $14 million land sale that I'm going to co-list with another agent on down on the south side of Houston. So, I recently interviewed an automotive shop, the owner of them, and now him and his wife are my buyer and seller clients. It all comes around. So now with my Discovering Magnolia, Texas, I am known in the community. People see my videos. I post those in my neighborhood things. I do not use those videos to promote myself. Very little. At the very end, it says that this video is brought to you by your local realtor, Erica Stietenroth. And what also happened from doing those videos is this year, the Chamber of Commerce reached out to me. And the Chamber of Commerce said, we saw what you're doing with your videos, and we have been thinking about doing a service like this for our chamber members who are paying and to help promote them, but it's going to cost us X amount of money. Would you be willing to partner with us on this? And then they wanted to help pay for it and da 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 da. And I said, absolutely not. Because the second I start taking money from the chamber, it's not my project anymore. Right? And then they have input on what I'm doing and how often I'm doing it and who I'm doing it with and all of the other things. So I allowed them to bump me up one tier level for my paid membership, which really doesn't get me that much more. But they since connected me to the fire chief, and I just did a huge video that had over 50,000 views by interviewing the fire chief and sharing the new fire chief and sharing the story. So find ways that you can connect with your community and get in front of people in those ways. Those have been things that have been successful for me up here. Farming my neighborhood has been tremendously successful. I literally, there's an actual, oh, mind you, that the house that I just closed on yesterday, that was a result of having interviewed her and her husband for their Rose Farm business, Life in Rose Farm. She's the licensed real estate agent. So she could have sold her own house, but she saw the marketing that I do. She appreciated that I had spotlighted them and all of those things. And because we're friends on Facebook, she also sees what kind of a realtor I am. She sees the struggles that I go through. She sees the bullshit that we go through because I post about all that stuff, right? Interestingly enough, in that closing, and I will end up at some point doing a video on this, she went through the house and took out all of the bathroom mirrors. She's a realtor. Anyways, that was an eventful closing yesterday. Um, so, um, the other things that I do here in the local community to get my name out is I sponsor youth sports. So my kids are involved in sports. I do sponsor. I do $1,000 sponsorships for the cheerleading squad at the high school because that gets my name announced at the football games on Friday nights. I support the little league team at the ball fields because if you do $1,000. It gets a big sign on the field, which actually faces the road on that 1774, which is a main road. I actually had a billboard for a little while, which I'm considering doing the billboard again. I never thought in a million years I would do a billboard. Oh my good Lord, and my daughter was so embarrassed by it too. But I have fun with my marketing. So like my billboard, one of my billboards, had like a cow on it and thinking about moving. I was doing things that when you're driving down the road was going to get you to stop and look at it from everything else that you saw there. So I try to think of things that I can do to be memorable, right? So those are some of the things that have worked for me. And I'm not afraid to put out the stories. When I have bad things go on in a transaction, I share the stories on I'll share the stories on social media. I'll post them on Facebook. When I have a closing, I'll post a closing. I do every closing, I take a picture of the couple signing their documents at the closing table. There are some that I can't post the pictures, whether it's for religious purposes or they just want the privacy. So in those cases, I'll just post a picture of the house. But I use an app called Typorama. And so I take the picture and I put it into Typorama and then I write, closing day or just closed or whatever over it. And then I have my logo on it also. And that's the picture that I'll post. Now, one of the things I am doing to help my business is I did just hire a VA. So I've decided to sign on with Sphere Rocket, and they help coach me on how to work with my VA. They find the VA, they train the VA, and it's a whole thing. So I am paying Sphere Rocket and I am paying my VA. But that's something now that I realize that I really need to start implementing. And so I'm going to have my VA start doing a little bit of this stuff for me as well. But another big key piece that has been super helpful when I mentioned hiring my TC is finding your Shelly. So my Shelly, so Shelly started out as my transaction coordinator. She is licensed. So she was able to run things and, go open doors and do things for me. And over the last like 5 years, Shelly has gone from being my admin slash TC to being my buyer agent, back to being my admin slash TC. She is super flexible. So find a super flexible Shelly if you're like me. But Shelly is willing to do whatever I need her to do, and she is here for the team. And as a matter of fact, before I hired Shelly, I had a disc profile done on her, and then I was with Keller Williams at the time, and they ran a KPA on her, and my team lead was telling me that Shelly may not be a good hire because of whatever reasons she gave me. And I was just like, and I wasn't sure if I was going to hire Shelly because Shelly, she's a single mom now, but previously she was married to a pastor. Shelly doesn't drink. Shelly doesn't curse. Shelley is very religious and is very dedicated to going to church a couple times a week. I am married to a sailor. I curse like a sailor. I drink. And when I first interviewed her, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, there's no way. Like she would never want to work for me. Like there's just no way. And so I drug my heels and I didn't get back to her immediately. And finally, like she reached out to me again. And so I knew that she looked to me, I felt like she would be a good fit, but I didn't know if I would be a good fit for her. And so I just point out blank told her and I was like, Shelly, I don't know if you would want to work for me because I curse a lot. And she was like, "Oh, I don't care," and everything. So 5 years later, Shelly has been the best hire. Oh God, I could cry. Oh, I didn't expect that. I'm sorry. She has been amazing. She has been absolutely amazing. I cannot imagine my business without Shelly. As a matter of fact, I had two closings today. One of them is signing. They're out of state, and we had the buyer also. I had the seller and the buyer, and Shelly went to the closing. And Shelly's out meeting other people and doing stuff as we're on this call right now. She's literally got a list of things. Hiring Shelly has allowed me to focus on not only the parts of my business that I want to focus on, but has gotten me out of the weeds on some of the things. You have to think about in your business what is worth your time and where your time is best spent, right? And what you calculate out how much, and you've had people tell you this all before, you guys, right? How much is your time worth? And calculate how much you should be getting paid an hour and things like that, and then have the appropriate people in place for that. I don't want to work with buyers anymore. I just don't. So unless it's a referral where somebody is like, Erica, they have to work with you, or depending on the price point, then Shelly works with the buyers. And so I have a monthly set pay because she is a single mom and her kids are older. They're graduated from high school and stuff, but they still live at home. So she has a base pay, and then I will give her percentages based off of the different things. If she mostly worked with the buyer throughout the transaction, or just different, I just have different percentages that I'll pay her on. And she's been amazing. So finding someone to give you the leverage that you need when your family is coming to you and your kids are telling you when you're on vacation that you're not present, or your marriage is starting to suffer because of you're leaving things and putting customers first. Those are indications that you need leverage, and you need to figure out how you're going to find that leverage. And if it's a Shelly that you find, go find your Shelly. Or if it's a virtual assistant, or maybe you already have your assistant and now you need a second person to bring on. That was my biggest thing right now is I was looking at, I'm like, I want to take this off of Shelly because Shelly and I are both so busy right now. I think I have I have to go back and look. I'm really about this too. People ask me about my numbers and I'm like, I don't know. I have to go look. I think I have 16, 17 things in escrow right now, plus the buyers that we're working with, plus my listings that I have on the market. I was having Shelly reverse prospect my listings. She's calling for showing feedback. She's processing my files as my transaction coordinator. So I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And so I hired back my previous transaction coordinator company to do my listing input. So they do all of my listing stuff, prep them, get them ready to go until they they put them active on the market, and then they're done. And I just pay them for that. And now I'm hiring this VA. I'm going to be having my VA send out cards for birthdays and things like that. I'm going to have the VA going through my database and going back and checking with each client that we have closed in the past and going into the MLS and seeing, have they sold? Every year we do this. We go through we comb our database. Have they sold? If they sold, when did they sell? Do we remove them from the database? Or, just going through and doing a whole bunch of stuff to take other things off of Shelly's place. So finding those key leverage places has been huge. But I know I've kind of been all over the place, and it's kind of a loaded question to ask me what I'm doing that's working, because I'm not the kind of agent that is super structured. I just know what needs to be done and I freaking get out and do it. I'm in the middle of moving right now. I just sold my house. I bought another house. We're going to be moving next week. I have contractors at the house as we work. I oversaw the electrician. I oversaw the flooring company. I've got all of that going on. Plus, I've got my 11-year-old and my 16-year-old and my husband. And I do all of this because I have my Shelly, and because every day I get up, and even when I don't want to do the work, I just sit down and I get it done. And I'm going to be honest, like I get burned out. I absolutely get burned out. I am so burned out right now. I am. I do not, lately I'm just like, I don't want to do that. I don't even care. I had somebody call in, the other day. It was going to be for a listing, and, the neighbor had referred them. This was in my neighborhood. And she started telling me about how, like, she's like, I gave your name to my neighbor. And then she proceeds to tell me how difficult they are as neighbors. And it's a log cabin, which I know is going to be difficult. And I was like, Andy, I just want you to know, like, I'm super appreciative that you would think about me and refer me. And I was like, but based off of everything that you've told me, I'm just at a point in my business where I can make the decisions on on who I'm working with and what I'm doing. And like, I thank you, but I'm not going to go over and talk to them. And honestly, there's just been some stuff that have come up lately, and I have referred it to, I have been referring stuff to other agents here in my own area, because I realize that I am like almost here right now on a level of burnout. And so when I get to those points, I know I need a vacation. And that's what I do. And I can't go on vacation right now. But I will be. I'm already planning some stuff. But one of the things that I look at as vacations also are going to conferences. Because let's face it, a lot of times when we go on these conferences, they're in like really great places. So I just signed up for a women's real estate kind of retreat. It's a small thing. It's going to be in Cabo. I want to say it's in like October or November. And then I'm doing a real estate conference on a cruise in January, which is amazing. I did it last year and it was absolutely amazing. So some of the conferences that I look to attend, I actually look for destination type conferences as well. And when I go to the conferences, you guys, I go to the conferences with every intent of it being for networking, and not as much as what I'm going to take away from the million sessions that I can attend. Because how many times do we go to these conferences and then we get all these things and we make all these notes, and then they sit here in a pile on my desk for years that I don't go back through. So I look at one thing from every conference that I can take as a key action point, go back home and start working on that. And the last conference that I went to was in San Antonio a couple months ago, called Rev B. It's a real estate video blueprint conference. I'm big on videos in real estate. It's been another differentiator for me, is just videos, whether they've been for listings or they've been for the discovering videos. But the big key, I literally got my AI piece and I was like, that is what I'm going to do. And I left the conference. I was like, that's what I'm going to start doing. I came back. I signed up for his AI course. I'm doing that. It's once a month. And my goal is I am now working to train artificial intelligence. So as we move away from Google searches to AI ask, right? We're always asking AI right now, right? So as people move over to ask from search, I'm starting to train AI SEO wise that I pop up, just like you train Google SEO wise for you to pop up over there, right? I just went through rebranding. I just paid a lot of money to redo my website with uh, Luxury Presence is who I chose to redo that. Um, and with part of that, I am doing a $500 a month Google AI spend, or Google ad spend, which just started. And I've been getting leads come in, and I literally just take those leads and pass them to Shelly. They're all buyer leads. Pass them to Shelly, pass them to Shelly. Um, so those are kind of some of the different things that I'm doing. I know it's a lot, and I know I'm not structured like some people probably want to hear when they get on to hear a successful agent. Like I don't have that magic recipe for you besides show up, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, find your leverage and and stick with it. I mean, I didn't just start sending out postcards and get a return. It took several months. And I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but I did a workshop on this recently. And there was an agent in the neighborhood. I just sent out a postcard, um, and legit have buyers looking for a home, and none of the homes on the market in my neighborhood right now meet the criteria that they're looking for. So I sent out a postcard, and I got a phone call, and it happened to be a realtor who's about to list her house on the market in here. And I get on the phone with her, and the first thing she says to me is, "Oh my God, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity." And I was like, I'm like, okay, And she goes, "You sell all the homes in here." And I was like, "Well, no, I don't, not really, but if that's what you think, that's great," And it's all about perception, right? I don't sell all the homes in here. As a matter of fact, we have so many random agents that sell homes in here. I always wonder, how are there so many random agents that there's really no like big consistency with who is selling homes in here? Now, I have been able to gain that traction with some of the stuff that I'm doing, but people are thinking that because they're seeing my postcards and because they're seeing my posts in the neighborhood Facebook group and those kinds of things. I don't know if you want to jump in and say anything. I don't know when this is supposed to end or what we're doing on time or anything like that either, but
I want to say something. With Erica, she was spot on with hiring a transaction coordinator or an assistant of some sort. That's number one before a buyer's agent, in my opinion, too. I just agree with her.
yeah.
And I also would like to say that you missed a really important part about Shelley. She just rang the bell, y'all.
She did.
Yes.
And Erica took her out this last weekend and got her eyebrows put on. That's the type of person Erica is.
Wonderful.
So Shelly was diagnosed with breast cancer at the end of 2023. Her chemo was so bad on her body that she really could not work much last year. I mean, it really took a toll on her. And I actually have a friend who owns a transaction coordinating company that before she started just her own transaction coordinating company used to work for another agent down in Katy, Texas, who had a pretty large team. And when she was diagnosed with breast cancer and she started missing a lot of work, he let her go. I continued to pay Shelly, and Shelly did not work much last year, and she still made about 6 figures. So Shelly, I cannot imagine just not having Shelly. I want Shelly to be successful. I don't want Shelly to leave me. Shelly is invaluable to me, and she's become a really good friend. And yes, I was there when she rang the bell, and I noticed I did not realize I didn't know what she was doing, but one day it occurred to me that she was drawing on her eyebrows. And so I was like, Shelly, I was like, um, would you want to get your eyebrows tattooed? And she was like, well, yeah, I've thought about doing that, but I just the money to spend on it. And I was like, well, I'm going to take you to go get eyebrows. And that's what we did. You know, Shelly's amazing. Yes. Finding your people who can help support your business. And listen, I know these people are not easy to find. I know they're not. But I also know that if you take care of your people, that they'll stay around. Right? So find good people and then take care of them and they'll stay around. I take Shelly on vacations. I do extra things for her. She deserves it. She's awesome.
That is so powerful. Wow, Erica, this has been a master class in how to do business.
Well,
Just we can't thank you enough for sharing with us because I know Pat and I have always looked up to you, and not only because of your success, but because of the way you do business, and that really comes across. And I think that's something we can all learn from too, is that the way that you are and who you are comes across in your social media and everything else that you do, really.
one, I think, important thing to note off of that, you guys, is I'm big on getting reviews. I have had people who have looked me up online and have reached out to me just because they have read my. As a matter of fact, I just got a Zillow lead yesterday from an agent in San Diego who found me on Zillow and read my reviews. I think I have right now 116 Google reviews. I have almost 300 reviews on HAR, which is our MLS where we close out our transactions. I know I have at least 75 reviews on Zillow. And sometimes, like you say 116 and you say 75, and that doesn't sound like a lot. But if you go and look up, I guarantee you, if I if I Googled most of you right now,
Nope.
you might have a couple, you might have 20 or so, right? But I'm huge. That is actually one of the tasks that my VA is going to take away from Shelly is we keep a spreadsheet. So part of my automation, because I do have automations, transactional automations in Follow Up Boss that go out, and when we change that deal from pending to close, automatically my emails go out as follow-ups for reviews because one of our tasks is that a week prior to closing is we send out the review request email. And then on closing day, once we close that out, it gives them another prompt again. And I give them the 3 sites that I want them to give me reviews on: Google, Zillow, and then I used to do Nextdoor. I have more reviews than most agents do on Nextdoor, although I haven't really been doing that lately. Lately, meaning the last few years, but I have a lot of reviews on Nextdoor and stuff like that. It gives you credibility. And people will search you. So if you're in these Facebook groups and somebody posts for an agent in Houston or wherever happen, Winston-Salem, wherever it happens to be, you know, you throw your hat in the ring, you can link back. Hopefully they're going and I always look when I go to send out a referral. You better believe I'm looking you up online. I'm going to your Facebook pages. I want to see how you're marketing. I want to see what reviews you have. I want to see that you're somewhat out there, right? Because a lot of times when people are coming to me and asking me for a recommendation for an agent somewhere, they're asking me because they see what I do and they want someone to do what I do for them. Well, I mean, we all know that a lot of agents do not go the extra mile. So you're able to tell by looking people up online who's going the extra mile and who doesn't and stuff. So those are extremely important, doing those kinds of things also.
All right. So as we finish up today, does anybody have any questions for Erica that you'd like answered? Oh,
Well,
it's so quiet.
if anyone has any questions on any of the systems that I use or anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out. I just went through rebranding, so my brand is now the Realty Chick. And so that's my URL is therealtychick.com. All my contact information's on there. But all my socials are the Realty Chick also, on Instagram and on TikTok and on Facebook. So I'd love to connect, and if I can, I'm always willing to share. I'm always willing to share. I share my buyer guides, my seller guides. My buyer questionnaires, seller questionnaires, all the things. Like I have no problem sharing stuff. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or need anything.
Now, Erica, did you mention that you had a little homework assignment for us today?
Yeah, so my homework for you would be if you can't do it off your go back and first of all audit your online presence. Go in and check and see how you're showing up online and are you consistent with your branding across your platforms? Next Home has a phenomenal branding platform that you guys, Chuck and Pat, I know you guys do a great job with all of your, incorporating your brokerage branding and stuff in with everything that you guys do. You're very big on that, and you're and adopting the orange and everything else, like just the whole thing. You're always Next Home. There's never anything that I could ever associate you with anything else besides Next Home. Like I like you just know it. So making sure you have the brand consistency. So do an online audit of yourself, and then figure out one thing that you can do every day. That if you do it consistently enough over time, that could make a difference in your business. And to me, I think that's how could you start connecting with people on social media if you're not doing it, and find which platform you want to use and then go into it. When I started doing TikTok, oh my God, you should see my first TikTok video. It was awful. As a matter of fact, my first TikTok video, I was in a continuing education TikTok class, and and I had to do a video, and it was awful. And then I just started doing it every time. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out. And I just slowly, and then the more you do it, the more you figure it out. Get consistent with doing that kind of stuff and start connecting with people. And over time, it will build. It will. And figure out what you can do in your own neighborhood. If you are not selling more homes than other agents in your own neighborhood, then you're doing something wrong. People should know in your neighborhood who you are. They don't have to like you. Believe me, I have some people in this neighborhood that do not like me at all, right? They want to see me fail, which means every time my freaking postcard goes in their mailbox and they have to pull it out and see my face, I think it's fantastic, right? Because they want to see me fail. And but there's a lot of people out there. For everyone that doesn't like you, there's a lot of people that want to see you win, right? And people will come together around that. And we got into it a little bit, but I had some people trying to attack me in my neighborhood a little over a year ago, and the whole thing really ended up being one of the best things for my career, you know. So I was able to take what someone was trying to do that was trying to purposefully and intentionally hurt me, and use it to just make a connection with people that went deeper than anything that I was doing real estate wise. But then was able to also turn it into my brand and capitalize on that. And that's where I got the Realty Chick. So
that was the war on chickens.
Yeah.
And the HOA deed restrictions.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. I remember.
See?
And it did. It boomeranged big time.
Yeah. But you also know all that because I shared the entire thing on social media.
That's right.
So
I love sharing on social media. You do a great job of that too.
yeah, you guys do too.
Oh, thank you
You
so
do a lot
much.
on Instagram too. Is it, Pat, I know you post a lot on Instagram. I
Yeah.
watch people on Instagram. I don't post as much on Instagram.
Well, Erica, thank you so much. We just can't thank you enough for spending some time with us today here on the Next Homie Focus Group, where we meet every other Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time.
Tuesday.
Oh,
You
yep.
want it to be Thursday.
Whatever day today is, Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. Good thing you're here. And if you're not already on it, go to the Facebook group, Next Homie Focus Group, Facebook group, and join, and you'll get all the latest news. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.